Welcome back, everybody. We are the Blitz and Kick podcast, where we talk all football all the time.
With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft.
I love that intro video so much. Kyle's picture, I just want to hang next to all the people that have played James Bond because he just has that like Vogue looking like. Okay, anyways, tonight, guys, we're going through our top 75 NFL draft prospects heading into the combine, so that is subject to change before the draft. But this is our top 75. Let's hear from our sponsor, and then we're going to dive right in. Fresh Cuts has been one of our amazing sponsors since day one. Slide on over to Fresh Cuts, talk to Caleb, because it's not just a haircut, it's an experience. Book with him now. Mondays are his most available days, but you can hit him up anytime for a fresh cut. I'm so clever, guys. If you don't know, that's my voiceover. Come on over for a fresh cut. It's original. It's written. There it is. Speaking of original, you will not find this top 75 list anywhere. Obviously, we have to start it out spicy with probably the most polarizing prospect in a potential position to go number one.
Yeah, we have Caleb Williams at number one here. We know the floor is probably pretty high. The ceiling's even higher. But I think there is some disparity. I think there is some, control issues. I think it could be a hit or miss with this guy. All the intangibles, maybe they're not all there. Physical traits, right? His velocity, his ability to have all these free platform throws, angle throws, his ability to run. So many things that, we like in a quarterback, but does he have the leadership abilities? Is he a winner? I don't know. I don't know about those things. I know that he probably has one of the highest ceilings for anybody in his class, and that's why he's number one for me. But I think you'd probably disagree on where he might be at, but I have him number one just because, like, what I've seen from him the last couple of years, it's kind of hard not to put him number one.
What was that?
What
did that do?
What?
Okay, when we go back and we watch this video, we have to remember to look at it at like 250 because I put up this and said number two, and balloons just went up on my screen. So I don't know what just happened, what sort of magic that was. But yes, I believe Caleb Williams should be at two. I do like him. I do think you're right. He is a generational prospect. However, Marvin Harrison Jr. just ticks so many more boxes for me in terms of what I want to be like a number one prospect coming into this. And he is very, very polished. But Caleb, I think leadership bothers me the most, especially if you're going to be talked about as being the number one pick. Some immaturity issues and leadership issues, that bothers me because sometimes it is an adult world, the NFL, and we've seen immaturity and leadership problems in these big name guys fail time and time again. So I think the combine is going to say a lot about what kind of person he is in his interviews. But I understand why he's at one. But I just personally, I would have had Marvin at one.
Number two is Marvin. Does everything well. Your typical number one receiver, route running, great hands, smoothness to his game. Has some good 50-50 ability too. Rack isn't quite there as some other guys, but I think he's ready to go, ready to hit 1,000 yards in his first year kind of guy. We have him linked with AJ Green as his pro comp. I think a team like the Cardinals right there, that would make a lot of sense. Assuming it goes 1, 2, 3 with quarterbacks. So Marvin at number two. No really big things there.
No, I can't argue with you on that one.
Yeah, number 3. This is probably a little bit controversial, but I do think Brock Bowers is deserving of number 3. I think he's one of the best college football players I've seen the last couple of years. And I'm not going to just say that, okay, he's a tight end, so I'm going to put him at like number 15. Now, he might go number 15 in the draft, but I still think he's a top 5 talent all day. Just what he can do at the tight end position, his hands, his route running, special blend of everything that you kind of want. Mackey Award winner, complete explosiveness, just a all-around really great player. And I think the Titans or the Chargers are teams to look out for him.
Yeah.
We have Malik Neighbors at number 4. So this is kind of a little bit interesting. I think some scouts have Odunze a little higher than Neighbors. I just think Neighbors, from what I've seen of him, has a little more juice than Odunze does. And that is exciting. It doesn't always mean he's going to be the best receiver in the NFL, because juice does not mean everything. You obviously have to be able to catch it and run routes too. But I think with the pure explosiveness, pure athletic traits that he has, and then he tracks the ball pretty well too downfield. Those are a really great combo. So I have Neighbors at number 4. What do you think about him versus Odunze?
I like Neighbors better just as like a pure wide receiver 1. Odunze, I love Odunze's size. I love the things that he can offer you, but I just think Neighbors just has more athletic traits that you can't teach. But to me, it's very close. Mm-hmm. It's very close between the two of them. But I just feel like I would prefer Neighbors. Like I don't know. Like who did Michael Penix and Rome Odunze really play besides Oregon? You know what I mean? Tell me who you really played where you faced adversity versus Malik Neighbors that posted numbers in the SEC. True. Like that's just, you can't beat that. So I agree with you on Neighbors. Who do we have up next?
Speaking about SEC, Jaden Daniels we have here at number 5. Really incredible passer. His season really reminded me of Joe Burrow. I mean, think about the receivers that are coming out with LSU right now. Brian Thomas and the Malik Neighbors, right? And then Joe Burrow, who did he have? He had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, I don't know if these guys are going to be like, I mean, that's for a pretty high bar. Jefferson are a few of the best receivers in the game right now. But like the whole culmination of their offense just really worked. Really good with his feet. He's very, very accurate. But he also has that running ability too that we've talked about before. That's exciting, and it's kind of the new part of the NFL. It's not just pocket passers, but he also does play pretty well from the pocket too. So I think that's kind of why that separates him from some other guys here. Even though like a guy like Drake May does have good athletic traits, I think Jaden Daniels kind of offers you a little more eliteness right now at both running the ball and passing the ball.
And I think, to be frank with you, if Caleb Williams wasn't in this draft, we'd be talking about either Marvin Harrison or Jaden Daniels to go number 1 overall. And that's sure. That's pretty high of a compliment for him.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels really rose the ranks pretty recently. Like last year at this time, I don't think anyone had him as a top 3 pick. But again, like Joe Burrow, right? Like the year before his breakout year, no one had him that high, and then boom, he just burst onto the scene and showed a lot. So
that's what they do.
It's definitely possible, and you can succeed. So we'll see how he does. Number 6 now is my boy Olu Fashanu. I'm really disappointed that he's kind of dropped with some other scouts. I don't really see it. I think him and Joe Alt both are like your prototypical like left tackles. Now I know right tackles are almost just as important in the NFL, but left tackles still protect your blind side if you're not Tua Tagovailoa or Michael Penix. So left tackle is pretty darn important, and he's a really good pass blocker. He definitely needs to get better on his run blocking, but like that can come. There's a lot of bad traits that happen with these linemen, and I don't think he has many of them. I just think he needs to get stronger. He needs to get in the weight room a little bit. He needs to bully people in the run game, but like I don't think he has horrible traits. He just needs to get a little stronger. So I think he's what you want in a left tackle. I can see the Titans getting him, the Cardinals getting him, or maybe like the Jets if he falls a little bit longer.
For sure. For me, Joe Olu Fashanu, two sides of the same coin. like either one could go either way for me. But they're both really good prospects. This O-line class, we're going to get to talking
really
about
good.
it later, but this O-line class is really great.
Yeah.
Who do we have up next, Kyle?
We have Rome Odunze, great tracking ability. We compared him to Larry Fitzgerald a little bit. Just a really great size and really good route running for his size. You don't see that much for those big guys, but he creates pretty good separation. I'd like to see him create a little bit more because I know he can run fast. I just don't always see the elite separation that I would want. However, like that hasn't stopped a lot of receivers, So good rack ability too. I think I was listening to one podcast. And I think he really loved Devin Hester growing up. So it's kind of weird. A guy like 6'3", 215 models his game, wants to be like Devin Hester. So I think he has that in him and he wants to be more of that guy. I think he has the juice to do it. He has the mindset to do it. I'm pretty sure he got hurt in one game earlier this year, like pretty bad. His pain tolerance is pretty high that he hopped on I don't think he could even go on the plane ride, but he had to get like a lift. He had to drive all the way back to Washington, and he played the next week. So he's a gamer, he's a baller. I would not be surprised if I have him at number 7, but the more and more I think about it, he could be the best receiver in this class.
And he honestly could go top 5 depending on need.
Yeah.
I feel like it depends on what happens with quarterbacks, and there's a whole lot of speculation on that. We'll talk about it leading up to the draft, but not now. Our next guy, Jared Verse. I want to argue with you so bad on this one, and it's not because of what I'm wearing, but I'd want to say he's starting to become edge 3 for me, behind Dallas Turner and Latu, and then Verse. I just like Latu and Turner traits better. Turner as that prototypical edge rusher. Latu is the kind of guy that's just a workhorse and is going to just improve week and week and week and week. Verse, I feel like gets outshined because he's just good. He's great. And that's his problem, is that you're stacked up against these two guys that are absolute workhorses and you see the improvement week by week by week. But Verse is just naturally good. And we've seen this happen before in drafts, that people will look at those workhorses and say, oh, well, the guy that's naturally good. I mean, that's how you guys ended up with Jalen Carter. Besides his whole off-field troubles, he's a big guy. He doesn't do it as good as this guy does. This guy's a better athlete than him. And that's how you ended up with a blue chip prospect and a steal. Because you just get these people that work really hard at the combine and the draft and just rise up over these guys that are just naturally good. And I think if you get Jared Verse, you're just chef's kiss. It's going to be a plug and play 90% of where you stick him.
Yeah, he's interesting. I see the argument for Latu because he is so technically sound, and he has all the traits that you want in a defensive end. Physically, I don't think he's as gifted as Verse or even Dallas Turner. I don't think he's there. But I've seen both things. I've seen defensive ends with these incredible, hands technician kind of guy who perform well in the NFL and get better, use their hands so well, like a Max Crosby. But I've seen guys like that who are technicians in college and then they fail in the NFL because their athletic traits aren't good enough, So it's just It kind of depends on where you go, how hard you work, and what kind of scheme you're going to be in. But if Jared Verse ends up in a 3-4 outside linebacker, he's going to be horrible. But if he has his hand in the dirt, if he really attacks the passer and allow him to go upfield, I think he's going to be dominant. I think he has that ability in him, physically more than the other guys.
He reminds me of the same conversations you and I had a couple years ago about Kayvon Thibodeau. I feel like we're having the same conversation about Jared Verse. Is that he is good. It's just how good do you want to be?
Yeah. I think he definitely has things to work on. He's actually from Pennsylvania. I didn't know that. I just found that out recently. But I don't know why he went all the way to Florida State. But anyway, I just think physically he has more than most of these guys right now. And that's what impresses me. And that's why I have him so high.
Understandable.
Number 9, we have Jerzon Newton, the D tackle from Illinois. Listen, I've seen him wreck games, just single-handedly wreck games. He's quick. He gets in the backfield very, very fast, violent with his hands. He's a slasher. He has to get upfield. He's not going to be a guy that is going to play a 3-4 defensive end that you want to make him stop gaps. Like, he's not going to do that. You want him to rush upfield and get after the passer. So, and those guys are hard to find. We talked about them before. They're very hard to find. Hargrave was one of the guys who came out, got drafted by the Steelers, kind of played in the wrong system, then went to the Eagles and dominated. Then went to the 49ers, dominated. Why? Because they asked him to rush the passer. They asked him to get upfield. I think that's what Newton is going to have to do at the next level to stick. I don't know if he's going to be a guy that is going to stuff the run. I think he's able to, but I don't think that's going to be his number one go-to thing. So you want him in a system that really allows him to use his athleticism and his quickness to his advantage.
I only have one argument for you here, is that I want him to be higher. But the problem is, who do you take out? So I like where you have it, but just you said it perfectly, game wrecker.
I don't know if Jalen Carter was in this draft. I don't think Newton would be over Jalen Carter.
Oh, no,
but I just think it's rare to have D tackles like this. And we'll talk about Murphy in a bit too. It's hard to find. And when you have guys are like that who are unicorns, they tend to go higher. Because one team's they
should.
Yeah, one team's gonna be we're not going to find this next year. He's right here. Maybe we have a Jerzon Newton versus, I don't know, a Quinyon Mitchell or an Amarius Mims, someone like that. And you're like, we could probably find an Amarius Mims next year. Or we could probably find, I don't know, any of these guys really. I think he's a unicorn. I think that's why I have him so high. I think that's why he's probably going to go high.
I just keep having flashbacks during this because now I'm thinking of Kalijah Cansey and the conversations we had about Cansey. But
yeah, I didn't think Cansey was going to go first round. I was surprised there because not based on his ability, but based on his
size.
Yeah, his size. It was never seen before with a guy that size on the interior going that high. But he really good rookie year, so we can probably throw that argument out the window. Number 10 is our boy Drake May. I feel like he's received a lot of hate, and I don't really get it. I think last year was so much better than this year, for sure. But he has a lot of talent in his system. He has the arm. He has the ability to scramble. He's a pretty good runner. He's not – I'm not going to say he's Caleb Williams or Lamar Jackson, someone like that, but he's a pretty darn good runner. I would say, look at Josh Allen, kind of. He's not as big as Josh Allen or as physical, but, he has that speed that if he gets past the first level, he can make a couple of guys miss. He can do some read option stuff with you too. So I think he has a lot of the physical tools that you want. He possesses every club in the bag kind of thing. It's just he had some bad moments, and he had some inconsistencies. He needs to get his mind right, his body right. He needs to get his mechanics right. But those are things you can easily fix with a good quarterback coach and a good system for him to develop in. But man, if he gets put in a Patriots kind of offense year one, dear Lord,
he's gonna suck.
I feel bad for him.
Well, he's going to do what he did this past year because you just took Josh Downs from him and watch him go.
Yeah, I think he played hero ball, right? And on the Patriots, I think that's what he's going to have to do. So it's unfortunate, but unfortunate for any quarterback that probably goes there. But I think for him, if he were to fall a little bit, that might be a little bit better for him in his career. So we'll see what happens with him.
For sure.
11, we have Joe Alt. Impressive athlete. Like I said, with Olu, I could probably have them back to back. I think they're almost interchangeable. Definitely a left tackle, light, nimble feet. He's been this kind of stud prospect for a while. We've known about him for a while. It's no surprise he's on here. Usually Notre Dame offensive linemen, have a place in the league. So I'd be shocked if he were to be bad, coming in. But His dad was a first-round pick of the Chiefs years and years ago along the offensive line position. So he has all the father-son stuff you want. He has all the athletic traits you want for a tackle, and he's massive too.
Yeah.
So we like that at the left tackle position. He is pretty darn tall, though. 6'8", 315. That's pretty tall for a left tackle. Sometimes for a guy that tall, sometimes it is pretty hard to get low, to get your hands lower and stop a guy that can bend pretty well. So I would say that's something to watch out for at the next level. A lot of 6'8" guys can't bend that well, but some can. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, I think he's a top 10 pick all day. I would not be surprised. I'd be surprised if the Titans passed up on him.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably one of my favorite prospects on this list, Tylese Fuaga. Ooh. That's all I have to say. I loved your fits of the Niners and the Steelers. I know it sounds sexy to trade up and grab a quarterback, Pittsburgh, but truthfully, just keep working on that O-line. If you're really going to put in on Pickett, then this is kind of a slam dunk pick for you. Or go out and trade, give up your second rounder and go get Fields, either one. Or maybe Russell Wilson will sign with you. Or, they're going to have 10 quarterbacks this offseason, according to every news site that I'm reading. But anyways, he's go ahead. I'm losing my voice. Ooh.
Yeah, no, he's a monster, like you were saying. He rose quite a bit recently. Definitely the Bulls helped him out a lot. I don't know if he's a tackle at the next level. I think he can be. He might be more suited to be at guard, but the versatility is intriguing. He's very nasty. He's very good at getting to the next level. He's big. He's physical. He's fast. Good arm length too. He's definitely what you want in a guard. I don't know if he can play tackle at an elite level. That's why I have him lower than Joe Alt and Olu, because I've seen them play tackle and play it very well. I don't know if Huaga can necessarily do that like they can. He's going to need to work on it quite a bit, but the physical traits, everything that you want, is definitely right there. I kind of think, the Elijah Vera Tucker spot with the Jets a few years ago, that might be like a spot for him, around the 12, 13, 14 mark. Maybe a team trades up for him and gets him if he falls a little bit. So, there's intriguing offensive line prospects, the athletic ones. A lot of teams love that. And love the potential there. And the Steelers, right? They have a guy in, I believe, his name is escaping me, Andy Weidel, who was with the Eagles, who's now on the Steelers. And I believe he kind of lends himself to the philosophy of getting the offensive line right and getting good ones, right? They drafted an elite athletic prospect in Project Jones. So it would make sense to get another one with Fuaga, assuming they don't draft a quarterback in the first round.
Yeah, understandable. Next, Laiatu Latu.
Yeah, we talked about him a little bit, just really good speed to power, calculated guy, good technician, no glaring weaknesses, might not have the elite athletic traits. He suffered a neck injury in college, and that is something to watch out for at the combine. But yeah, an elite technician, the size that you want, the power that you want, the hustle, the grit. He's got that dog in him kind of thing, but he's slotted at my number 13. It's a good ranking. I think the athletic traits, even though they don't always work out at the next level, that's why I have some guys higher.
Understandable.
Dallas Turner at 14. We talked about him a little bit too. I think he might be the best athlete of all of the edge rushers. Yeah. I think he stood out when Will Anderson was there, but you can talk about him since he's your boy.
We will Venmo you $1 if you can tell us where Manny Lawson played in the NFL, first of all. Second of all, I will hold myself to that. I will Venmo you $1. Dallas Turner is an absolute game wrecker. The problem is he just kind of got outshined by other parts of our defense because we didn't need him to do everything for us. However, just being a pure athlete, the Falcons make sense. The Falcons have one of the worst pass rushing units in the NFL. The Saints make sense. Look, Cam Jordan is starting to get very old. Not saying that he's going to play in Cam Jordan's spot, but that's kind of the entire D line of the Saints. and you invested in offensive line, and you invested in receiver, I think it's time to start looking at defense in the first round and start supporting your Derek Carr, or if you draft somebody, whatever you end up doing, you got to support your offense. Dallas Turner, however, I'm just concerned because he could have very well posted, 14 sacks. He could have very well posted 39 solo. I think he needs to be in the right fit, and he needs to be the central part of that defense in terms of rushing. If the Lions had a higher pick, this would make sense too.
Yeah.
Because he's a very good complementary piece. But we'll see. I like your fits.
Yeah, number 15, we have Byron Murphy from Texas. Very similar to Geno Atkins type of build there. Very good pass rush moves, the interior position. He's quick, like we said before. On Feldman's freak list. He's lined up at defensive end too. A big riser, was in the top 15 in Daniel Jeremiah's latest mock draft. So that's kind of where I have him as well. I didn't know much about him. Then I watched him. And I'm like, oh dear Lord, he's another kind of one of these freak interior defensive linemen. So again, dime a dozen, unicorn kind of guys. I think 15 is a good spot for him. Another Alabama boy here at 16. What do you think about Terrion Arnold?
Terrion Arnold is an absolute freak of nature. I know a lot of people are going to say, where's Kool-Aid? Where's Kool-Aid? But let me tell you, this guy, his only downside is that he's handsy, but he is the perfect size for a corner in the NFL. He just has that physical and aggressive style of play that you like. It makes sense for the Colts to go after this guy. It makes sense for the Jags to go after this guy, especially if he can beat Trent McDuffie, because I know you and I had questions about Trent McDuffie's production and how he was going to do at the next level. And he's done it insanely well.
Yeah, McDuffie is like, he's physical. He's aggressive, and he'll fight you, and he'll tackle. Like, that's the kind of corner that you want. You're not going to get that with every corner. Some corners are afraid to tackle. Some corners don't like to get, down and dirty and in the thick of things. And if you have a guy like that, but that can also cover, that's a good combo. So,
yeah.
From an Alabama guy to a Penn State guy, Chop Robinson, Pork Chop, very quick, very explosive. Might have the best first step in this class. The production, people talk about the production over and over and over again. But listen, there were so many guys in that defense that were in the backfield with him that probably took away some sacks from him. So I'm not gonna count that totally against him. But if he can get on a one-on-one situation, I think he can dominate. The thing that is a little concerning is he's a little smaller, right? So you probably aren't going to have him in the dirt that much. Trying to hold up against the run, he might get washed away a little bit. But I think he has potential to improve in that area. But as a pure pass rusher, I really like where he's at. And we talked about before, you want passers, you want pass protectors, you want pass blockers, and pass rushers. He's a pass rusher. So
that's where the game is won.
That's where it's won. So you want pass rushers, and I think he's, Dallas Turner, Latu first. He's a different flavor of pass rusher, but he's a quick one. I think teams are gonna find that sexy, and hopefully he goes in the first round. But even if he doesn't, I'll be happy with probably where he goes. So. Next, go ahead.
Yes, Caleb. I have to comment about Caleb. That is our sponsor for Fresh Cuts. He loves it when we say sexy and refer to a player as sexy in our stuff, because he said, I don't understand what that means. You got to explain that to me. And I was like, he's like sexy. It's like a sexy pick. It's it's what you want. He was like, I don't know, calling some grown dude sexy. I don't know about that. So there you go, Caleb. That's where we dropped it for the first time in this video. Quinyon Mitchell. I tell you what, Kyle, if I'm going to go ahead and list a very early combine winner, I'm going to go ahead and list Quinyon Mitchell. He has the potential to rise to be the corner one of this draft. Even though I love Terrion, I really do. Quinyon Mitchell could really project himself up if he does well in the combine.
Yep, 18 pass deflections. That's insane. He probably could have transferred elsewhere in the NIL era, but he stayed with Toledo. And man, he is very sticky in coverage, very athletic. Reminds me of Tariq Woolen, the rise, right? Tariq Woolen, even though he didn't get drafted that high, He had all the athletic traits that you wanted and did really well his first
Monster.
rookie year.
Monster.
So, like, I think teams will look at that, right? Even though the Seahawks kind of got, you could say they got lucky or they had good strategy, whatever. But sometimes when that happens is when you draft a guy like that late and he performs so well at 6'3", 200, and he's really fast. And teams kind of maybe not overvalue, but they're like, oh, we should probably look into that more. So I think a guy like Quinyon Mitchell, teams are going to fall in love with his athletic traits and man, how sticky he is in coverage. So I'll be excited to see him on Combine Day. But yeah, it could go number one for corners. We'll see.
For sure. Speaking
19.
of guys that are absolute monsters of players, Amarius Mims is huge. The biggest concern with Amarius Mims is how much play time he's had. I believe he's only had 8 career stats. Sorry, I didn't have the notes pulled up there for a second.
Only 8 starts, yep.
He's explosive, high-energy athlete, resembles a tight end in open space. Frame density affords him hyper-elite power capacity. He can load his base, torque through extensions, slabbing defensive linemen off the snap. He is, if it weren't for Alt and Fashanu, this guy would be talked about in top 10. But he's going to be an absolute steal for somebody at the bottom of the draft.
Yeah, he's a guy that you need to develop a little bit. Like we said, 8 career starts. It's a little concerning. But, man, traits, right? We talk about traits all the time. He might be the best athlete at tackle that we have here. He could be a guy that the Steelers get. They drafted Patrick Jones last year. They like these Georgia boys. I would not be surprised to see a team maybe late teens or early 20s go up and grab him. That could be somewhere right around there. Yeah, definitely a freak at tackle. I'll be excited to see how he does in the combine.
For sure.
Another guy that kind of is rising up lately is Jackson Powers Johnson, JPJ, the center from Oregon. He's nasty. He loves the position. He's very athletic. He's built well too. He's powerful. He earned, if you follow PFF, he earned really high grades in both pass blocking and run blocking this last year. We've had Zach Frazier up there for a while at center number 1. But I think from what we've both seen with Jackson Powers Johnson and from everything that we heard, I think he might go before Frazier, and he could be a first-round pick. Centers don't tend to go that high, but,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Buccaneers need one. Jensen retired. The Commanders are the Commanders, and
need
they have nobody on the offensive line besides maybe Samuel Cosme. And they need leaders. I think it would be smart. If you could pair a young quarterback with a young center, and they could rise together, get better together, that would really help out a team. So watch for JPJ in the draft. He could be a riser
for sure. You're gonna have to talk about Keon Coleman because I'm not feeling it.
I love Keon Coleman. I feel like people don't talk about him enough. Everything that I see with him and his yak ability and his elite ball skills and his playmaking ability, getting up and grabbing the ball, good speed as well. He got injured a little bit. It's not the greatest, and maybe he's not as elite as a route runner as some other guys. But I'm sorry, if I can see how fast you are, how strong you are, how big you are, how well you catch the ball, there's a spot for you on my team. I don't see him drop that many balls. I don't see him with low effort. I don't see him doing stupid crap. I just think he's a pretty well-rounded receiver athletically. He needs to fine-tune some things, but that's definitely doable. I think he has the athleticism to do it, and that's why I have him here at 21. I just, from what I've seen with my own eyes, I'm more impressed with him than the likes of other receivers in my top 75 that we'll talk about soon. He might not have the speed that other guys do, but he has everything else that you want.
I'm not worried about speed. I think my problem with Keon Coleman after watching film on him, he feels too touchdown dependent. Like outside of that in space, what are you? Like that's what I want to see in the combine. I want to see what you can do. What are your traits? What can you do outside of touchdowns? Because you just look at him and you watch some of those highlights, like it's like, okay, I was a little dump pass, cool. Okay, that was a little, out route, cool. Like I want to see what you do. I want to see who you are, and I feel like he's, no offense, I feel like he's being overhyped because of his size and his athleticism.
See,
and that's fine, but
I think he was overhyped
right
in college. I feel like no one's talking about him right now. And
No, because Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors and Rome Odunze have the wide receiver class in a chokehold. Truthfully.
That's true.
But
22.
Do you mind if I take this one?
Go for it. Yep.
Because I am known as the biggest Bo Nix hater. You're going to love exactly what I'm about to say.
Okay.
Bo Nix is actually a good quarterback. He's incomplete, but he's a good quarterback, and I'm going to tell you why. Brock Purdy is the exact reason why Bo Nix will be successful in the NFL. You don't need to be Patrick Mahomes on every play of the game. Game manager, the rise of the game manager is extreme, as we'll talk about with another quarterback in this. And Bo Nix is a very good game manager, has some good athletic abilities, can absolutely sling the ball deep. If he gets in the right system, I don't care that he's not Patrick Mahomes. I don't care. He could be a first-round pick. Yeah. Who cares? And if you want, and I love this fit. I absolutely love this fit, and I have to talk about it. The Rams make so much sense for Bo Nix because they're not asking Stafford to bomb it 60 yards every play.
Yeah.
They're not asking Stafford to be the center of that offense. You've got Kyron Williams. You've got Puka Nacua. You've got Cooper Kupp. You've got Tyler Higbee. You've got all these weapons that you can just afford to be and still make it. But the nice thing is Nix is better than but he's not there yet. He can still take the year or two to develop behind Stafford and be just fine.
Yeah, I like that fit. I don't think he would be good to get drafted inside the top 10 with a quarterback needy team. I think that would be horrible for him. I don't think that's him. I don't think that would go over well. But a team, maybe late 20s, team that could afford to sit him a year or two and operate in an offense that, is a little bit easier, that would do him a lot. Number 23, hopefully the Eagles don't draft him because that would be boring, but they probably will. Tyler Guyton, a tackle from Oklahoma. 6'7", 328. We really love that size, the frame, the build for that tackle. I think he might be a right tackle at the next level, but like I said before, right tackle is almost as important as left nowadays. Very athletic. I would put Amarius Mims probably at 1 for the athlete, and then I think Tyler Guyton's just right below him. Not very below him at all. Actually, he's pretty athletic himself. Good footwork too. Really performed well at the Senior Bowl and all those testing stuff. So I'm excited to see how he does at the combine. I think he's going to perform very, very well. And the fits we have here, Ravens, I think makes a lot of sense. I think they could use another tackle. Mr. Ronnie Stanley I feel like he's always hurt. And I really want them to get an athletic tackle over there. And then, of course, the Eagles.
Oh, we had one, but he wanted out. So
right, he who should not be named, Orlando Brown Jr.
Yeah.
I named him. All right, number 24, an Alabama boy for you. Here you
go. You go ahead. I will be right back.
Okay, number 24, we have Kool-Aid McKinstry. Man, he's a really good corner. Great awareness. He's very sticky in coverage. He has a mindset to be a number one corner. Very aggressive, very in your face. He's cocky. He's physical. Pretty good route recognition as well. He needs to get his head turned around a little bit sooner, but 5-star kind of athlete, 5-star product coming into college. I think he'd pair well with the Eagles or a team like the 49ers if he lasts that long. I don't know if he will, though. So we'll see kind of how McKinstry does at the next level. Man, I think he would be pretty good anywhere at the end of round 1. We've talked about before with Terrion Arnold, him versus McKinstry, but I think if you come away with either of you guys, I think that's a solid win. Now at number 25, we have Edgerrin Cooper, and I hope the Eagles draft him. Great speed to carry backs and tight ends. He is the prototypical linebacker that you want at the next level. He explodes. He's nasty. You watched him, Brad. What do you think of Edgerrin Cooper?
Edgerrin Cooper is an absolute bullet. If you can get him to do what he does best, which is pass rush, it's over. I can't think of many linebackers I've seen that just explode and just blow something up in the backfield that fast. Yeah. If linebackers were a valued position, Kyle, he'd be going round 1.
Well, they are valued to the Lions. Maybe.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think he could. I don't know if he'll sneak his way into the first round, but I think he should. I mean, I think he's that good, but he'll probably be a day 2 kind of guy, just because, like you said, they don't value linebackers that much. Another riser here at 26, Troy Fountainow, the tackle/guard, might be a guard at the next level. Very quick, very great movement skills. Very athletic as well. Very nasty.
I want you to know, when I was making this, autocorrect sucks because it put Ali Carpet, and then I had to look up who Ali Marpet was because I'm like,
yeah, Ali Marpet. I think he is best suited at the end of round 1. I feel like, or early day 2. I've seen him being mocked in top 15 at times. I don't really see that quite yet. But I think a team like the 49ers at the end of round 1 or beginning of round 2 with the Giants, I think would make a lot of sense. You could put him at left guard, right guard. And if you wanted, I don't think he'd be that much worse than Evan Neal at right tackle. Obviously, I think they're switching him into right guard, but I think he's an athletic piece, kind of a chess piece that you can move around on your offensive line, and a guy that, it might not be an all-pro, but I think could stick around on your team for, 8 to 10 years and just be a solid dude on the interior, which you need. But again, like the interior offensive line position, those don't go as high as tackles. So that might be where he gets dinged a little bit come draft day.
Makes sense.
Next big boy, T'Vondre Sweat, Terrence Cody-like. He's a massive, massive boy, but he's very quick. 8.5 tackles for loss. Has played a lot of games in his career. Great leader, great personality, great energy, but nose tackle, right? He's not going to fit every scheme. He's not going to be on everybody's board. So he's going to have to find a team that he sticks with. That's why I have the Ravens, who obviously play a 3-4, has played with the Haloti Ngata type of D tackles. Broncos run a 3-4. So I think look out for those teams rather than, okay, he's ranked number 27 on Kyle's board. That means he's going to go in the first round. Probably not. That's probably not how it's going to work. But I think he's going to stick at the next level. He's just not going to play, 50, 75% of snaps. That's not who he is. So that's probably why he'll drop a little bit. But freaky D tackles like Jordan Davis, he only plays like 40% of snaps, and he got drafted 13th overall. So I guess anything's possible.
Speaking of game managers, let's talk about JJ McCarthy. I kid. Actually, I think the kid is better than a lot of people give him credit for. His only problem, Michigan didn't ask him to really throw. They didn't ask him to take over games. They didn't ask him to do ridiculous bail us out here throws. And I think that's going to hurt him. However, apparently not. If you're an NFL scout, lots of scouts are loving this kid. And I could honestly see him being, by the way, if you guys don't know, Vikings aren't picking up Kirko's contract. I could see him going to the Vikings at 12. I could even see the Vikings trading up, depending on what happens in the first 3-4 picks. If you don't get up there, he's probably going to be gone because, as we always say, quarterbacks go way earlier than we expect them to. And McCarthy's good. I mean, Alex Smith was great. If he's anywhere near Alex Smith for his career, that's fantastic. Yeah. He really does well with throws. I think that's where people ding him a lot, is that he didn't throw a lot. Didn't matter. How did he do on the throws he made? Pretty good. I think he's okay. I think he'll have the time to either sit behind somebody or, in the Vikings case, get thrown into it really early. But if you're going to get thrown into an offense, I would love to get thrown into an offense with T.J. Hawkinson
Right.
and Justin Jefferson. Are you
And
kidding
Jordan
me?
Addison,
Yeah.
improving offensive. Yeah. Yep.
So I'm starting to turn my tune on J.J. McCarthy. I think he'll actually be okay.
In a division where defenses aren't like the greatest right now, like Lions don't have a great defense. The Bears isn't quite there yet. The Packers defense, we've talked about how horrible they are every year. So I think that'd be a good division for him to go to. I really do. I think that would make a lot of sense.
I love that you gave him the Jimmy Garoppolo treatment with his best fits, by the way.
Yeah.
You made me feel like I was doing a immaculate grid there for a second. I was like, oh, Jimmy G.
I think he could be better than Jimmy G now that I've watched him more. So I'm sorry, JJ.
Well, yeah, Jimmy G's a trash can.
For comparing you to Jimmy Garoppolo. Next guy, J.C. Latham. Oh, here's an Alabama boy for you. 29.
I'm confused here because I'm hearing a lot from scouts that J.C. Latham is the best tackle of this, like the best pure tackle. And then I'm also hearing, crap, he could go in the second round. He's not really looking like he's going to be a first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. What I can tell you just from watching that offensive line all season, they underperformed horribly all season. And it wasn't like we played like the best defenses ever. Texas was probably the only game that I'd say, okay, that defense makes sense that you're getting wrecked. Sure. But in terms of what he is, he's broad, he's thick, well-rounded build, long arms, light feet, elite level. I mean, he is good. I was just very concerned at when you're playing at a high-level school and you're just absolutely just like falling apart and watching your quarterback get smacked and just no cares in the world. Like that is going to bother me about teams. He needs to have good interviews at the combine to combat that. However, he's a big guy. And I think it doesn't matter at the end of the day. If he's a big guy and he can get people really early on blocks, then it's not going to matter. He's going to go where he wants. But if you just want the Alabama perspective, I didn't love our offensive line this season. There's some question marks.
Yeah, we'll see how he does. But like you said, there's a lot of really good linemen in this draft, right? And I think if some of those guys weren't there, he'd probably go higher. So I think these traits, the athletic traits before Latham, with guys like Fontenot, Fuaga, Joe Alt, I think that's kind of where he could hurt. But moving on to number 30, Cooper DeJean, the only white corner in the NFL, possibly. Let's go back to the all-white team, and he might play every position. I think he's that athletic. You don't see it very often, but it's here, and it's beautiful, and it's Cooper DeJean. Rare blend of size, smart, and skills. Is he a safety or corner? I think he can do both. From what I saw of him at Iowa, man, I think it makes a lot of sense.
He was the best part of their offense at Iowa.
Yeah, really. He had a lot of punt returns, too, that were like, oh, that's how Iowa scored. He got them down to the 5-yard line. So Cooper DeJean, when I watched him, I said, oh, man, he could be like a Harrison Smith. Mike Zimmer went to the Cowboys, right? But I think if he's there on the Cowboys pick, man, I think they'd absolutely love to have a guy like him. I think Packers make a lot of sense too. I just think he can kind of do it all. He can be that Swiss Army knife in the backfield of the defense. He's physical, he's tough, he has great hands too, and he's a punt returner. He's really athletic. I'm excited to see how he tests because from what I see of him on film, man, he's a freak athletically. I don't say that very often about these white dudes, but tell you what, he is. So don't get concerned just because he's a white corner. I think he's got all the stuff to be really good at the next level.
Don't be concerned because he's a white corner. Be concerned because he comes from Iowa. Anyways, let's move on. Chris Braswell. Kyle, you don't like this take, but I'm going to retake this take again for those of you that missed our defensive line episode. I trusted Chris Braswell more than I trusted Dallas Turner down the stretch.
Oh man.
Like just truthfully. But here's the best part about Chris Braswell: he's reliable. Is that I know when there's going to be a tackle that he has to make, he's going to get up and make it. Is he the fastest guy? No. Is he the longest guy? No. But I know that he's going to come in and make a play that's going to benefit the defense. He is a team player through and through. I like Chris Braswell. I think I turned you on to Chris Braswell because I put him on the list and I was just like, I'm going to do this. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know much of him before, watching him, but I was really impressed with what he could do. I don't know if he's the longest guy, but it really seems like he uses his arms very effectively. And I think he is he's an outside linebacker in a 3-4 defense. I don't think he's going to be anything else in that. And I think that's kind of where he might be dinged a little bit. I don't know if he is an every down guy. I think he has to improve. I think he could improve. I think he has the size, the traits to improve. But I think that's where he's dinged right now a little bit, is because even though I think he was productive, he got in the backfield a lot. He made plays. He's a 5-star athlete. I don't think he can do quite everything yet. But I think.
But for what he does it well.
He does it very well, and I think he could be a guy that gets drafted on maybe early day 2, but he could be a guy that really just improves and becomes, a Josh Allen from Kentucky type of player, maybe, or I don't know, what have you. There's so many examples of defensive ends just progressing and getting right at the next level. So that's why I have him here at 30. 31, kind of right on the cusp of the first, second round. Next guy that we have here, LSU, the other receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. Man, this dude is fast. Him and Troy Franklin, boy, these might be the 2 fastest guys we see this year. He's very snappy in his route running. His coordination and footwork's pretty good too. Good tracker of the ball as well. Can he run every route? Maybe not yet. But in terms of a downfield threat, you're not going to find many guys that can run that fast and that are also 6'4". So, I'd like to see him catch the ball with his hands a little more rather than his body. I think that's something that is concerning at the next level. But, if he can just get his hands a little bit better, track the ball a little bit better, he could be a very, very good number 2 at the next level, a field stretcher. A team for the Bills maybe or the Chiefs, I think would make a lot of sense. Panthers would make a lot of sense as well with their early day 2 pick, because they don't have a round 1 pick. They have nothing over there in terms of receivers. Personally, I think they should go out and trade for one. I think more and more it's starting to look idiotic that they traded away DJ Moore. I don't know why you trade away your best receiver when you're bringing in a young rookie quarterback. Usually you go out and trade for one. When you bring in a young rookie quarterback, I think they're really screwing him over on that one. So
I think they should double dip and take a receiver and trade for a receiver. That's how bad their offense is.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all in the slightest. So, just a very, very good deep threat. Another LSU boy. I'm excited to see where he goes. I think he can make a big difference in an offense and really change the trajectory of a lot of offenses. Number 33, Nate Wiggins. Very big, very long corner, Clemson guy. He sinks and turns pretty well. He's very long, tough, and physical. Lots of potential, oozing with athletic traits. Sometimes what I've seen is he doesn't really love to tackle. He has the size, he has the body, he has the athletic traits to do all that and do it well, but it seems like he's kind of disinterested in doing it. So I don't love that. I wonder if they'll get on that on him during interviews at the combine. But I don't love that. But hopefully he can work on that. I think everything else is really, really good. If you're looking for a tall, lanky, physical corner, he's your guy. I think the Lions make a ton of sense. I think the Buccaneers also make a ton of sense. Lions, man, they're desperate for corners. So I think Nate Wiggins at the end of round 1 would be a really good fit for them.
I shared my thoughts at the bottom of the screen. I'm sure you'll really enjoy that. I think he's just new Jeff Okudah. I really do. Because we said the same things about Jeff Okudah. Oh, he's a big guy, but he just doesn't like to tackle. But you know what? They'll get the right coach, and he'll get in there and he'll do it. And then Jeff Okudah has just been absolute garbage for his entire career.
He's been hurt a lot. I'll give him that.
Yeah, but that's not what you want from a first-round pick. I think Wiggins should fall today too. Just quite frankly, should fall today too.
Why don't you talk about another guy that you can't stand with your
Actually, the Senior Bowl made me like him. I couldn't believe watching him just make these dudes that are way bigger than him, these guys that are like lockdown corners. He just made them look silly.
Yeah.
Ladd McConkey, I think his best trait is his route running, and we saw it on display in the Senior Bowl. Holy wow, this kid is actually pretty decent. My only problem with him is he's actually kind of small. That's my only problem. If he bulks up a little bit, he's Hunter Renfrow 2.0, and that's probably why I don't like him, because I didn't like Hunter Renfrow, and I'm not going to like the second version either. But Ladd McConkey is not bad. I gave him a lot of crap for playing at Georgia and posting 456 yards. But I believe he was also hurt, wasn't
he? Yeah, I mean, I feel like Georgia really hasn't done well with their receivers. Even when George Pickens was there, he wasn't that much of a star, and look how well he turned out at the next level. So.
Riley Ridley, George Pickens, Ladd McConkey. I'm trying to think of other guys that were like big name and then just
Yeah, I think he has the stuff that you want. Production is not there, quite there, but they have a lot of guys, right? They have a lot of different pieces on offense. So.
Which is why I really liked your fit for the Chiefs. He doesn't have to be the guy in the offense. Mahomes will put it where you need to be.
Right.
You don't have to go make some wacky.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Half the time the Chiefs just needed to freaking catch the ball and they didn't. So
looking at you, Kadarius Toney. Anyways, let's move on before I start like a whole rant. Kingsley Suamataia. I just love saying that name.
This reminds me of what was that Night at the Museum when he kept saying Sacagawea. Is that what it was? Sacagawea. Yeah. Suamataia. Number 3 on Feldman's freak list. He's very big, long, athletic. I feel like I've said that about every one of these offensive linemen, and it's true. But a very, very big guy, a very versatile build. I think could play at tackle and guard at the next level. Just another one of these kind of freak athlete tackle guards, man. Like, there's so many of them. It's kind of like, okay, I don't want my team to draft one, but, man, if there's one on the board, I guess you kind of have to, So, very good leverage as well, good balance. Again, number 3 on Feldman's freak. So, wow. These linemen are freaky deaky. Number 36, we have Jeremiah Trotter Jr. His father, that's right, was former Eagles legend Jeremiah Trotter Sr., the Axeman. His son's not quite as big, but he's still very smart, decisive, very good blitzer, doesn't make many mistakes, disciplined.
He's more the hatchet man than the axe man.
Yeah, a little bit. Does the same little celebration too, so that's good to see. And I hope the Eagles get him. All right, number 37. Number 37.
We kind of preface this a little bit.
Yeah. We did. We talked about JPJ. Zach Frazier is probably the second best center here that we have. Played at West Virginia. Was their best offensive lineman, I think. And I think West Virginia played pretty well this year, actually. They had a good team. And he was a very, very big part of it. Gets to the next level quite a bit, too. Big physical center.
I'll be honest, half the time I forget West Virginia's a school. So
so do I. But they played Penn State week 1, so I remembered.
Fair.
Number 38. This is where we can have a little bit more of a conversation here. Michael Penix Jr., the quarterback from Washington. Brad, what are your thoughts on Michael Penix Jr.?
He's okay.
Yeah,
he's okay. I like the Tua comp. That is the highest I think he'll ever go, and even Tua is not destroying the league. You know what I mean? So I think he'll be serviceable. I think serviceable is the best word for Michael Penix Jr. Lefties don't typically do well at the next level. They just really don't. And Penix has benefited from having Jalen Polk, Rome Odunze, Jalen McMillan. He had quite the cast of characters. Now, the last time somebody had a cast of characters and got drafted, and was a bit older was McCorkle Jones. And that didn't go so well. So I'm a little skeptical about the guy that's going to come in at, what, 24?
Yeah.
Is that how old he's about to be? 24?
Yeah, he's not the youngest, that's for sure.
No, and he's just a pocket passer. Like, that's it.
I don't think he's going to be able to make intermediate throws that often. I think Tua makes a lot of sense the more that I think about it, because Tua's not going to be the guy that hangs in the pocket, forever. And if he does, it has to be a lot of linemen kind of protecting his butt so he can get it downfield to Tyreek Hill. I think that's kind of where Penix is going to operate. He's going to have really short throws, really quick throws, or he's going to have like a max protect bomb it to one of these receivers. I don't think the intermediate game is going to be kind to him, because you kind of have to sometimes navigate the pocket, stay upright, take a few hits. And I don't know if Penix or Tua are really going to be able to do that for that long. So, it'll be interesting. I think
if you had asked me this like a month ago, I would have said, Penix is it. And now I'm just like, is he?
Yeah, the more as I think about it, I think he could be a guy that during his medicals, during the combine, if there's anything weird, I think he could just fall. I really do. He might not, but I think if there's anyone out of this quarterback class that could, I think it's him. Unfortunately,
I also, just to piggyback on that, to anybody that needs a good combine, Penix is probably at the top of that list that needs a very good combine to be in day 2 contention.
Yeah, good pro day too. Well, that'll be interesting to see too if any of these quarterbacks back out from the combine and just wait till pro day. Usually the guys that do it at the combine kind of like need to prove something, I don't know, or just are super confident. But some of these guys that wait till their pro day are kind of like, well, I don't want anyone to see me screw up, so I'm going to work as hard as I can up until that point, and then maybe I'll show out my pro day,
and then I'll show the best throws that I can make instead of every throw that I should be making.
39, the fastest guy I've seen on tape. That's Troy Franklin. And he breaks angles like crazy. He's so fast. I would not be surprised to see him run in the 4.2s. Honestly, I'm excited to see how he tests. Very, very productive. Again, Oregon makes a lot of people look good. We know that, but man, his speed is something you cannot match. Hopefully, it's not just the Tyquan Thornton kind of speed where that's all he has. I don't think that's it. But he has good rack ability too. I think he does have a little more nuance in his route running ability than a Tyquan Thornton or some of these other just plainly fast guys.
Had you not put Mike Wallace, I would have put DeAnthony Thomas just for the speed.
Yeah, he's so freaking fast. Definitely the fastest guy that I've seen watching any of these guys. Number 40, Kamari Lassiter, the corner from Georgia. Very good size for a corner, just like most of these guys. Like we've talked about, linemen, tackles and guards, centers being a really good class. I think there's a lot of really good corners too. Very good size with most of these guys. Very good speed as well. Very versatile. Pretty good run defenders. Like there's a lot of really good corners in this class too. So
he's a cusp day 1 guy to me.
Yeah.
Cusp.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could definitely sneak his way into round 1, but I think he'll be a steal on day 2 for sure. Again, there's just a lot of corners ahead of him right now, I think, and behind him that it kind of might fluctuate where he goes. He's obviously very, very good. Gets handsy a little bit too sometimes. Doesn't always get his head around, but the physical traits are there. The athleticism, the want and willingness to tackle and to be aggressive is there. So I'm excited to see how he does. 41, Cameron Kitchens. Did you get to watch Cameron Kitchens at all?
I did. He's actually scary.
Yeah.
That's his best adjective, is scary. Again, if safeties weren't devalued by the NFL, the Eagles should take him in round 1. And that's where we are. Because he's just a game changer, and it's hard to find a game changer at 41 on a list but it's because he's a safety. It's because there's a lot of other good defensive backs in front of him, and that's why he's here. That's what I'm assuming. I'm just kind of spitballing off of where you got him. But he's explosive, and I think Darnell Savage makes sense. He might be a better Darnell Savage, actually.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too.
Yeah.
Darnell Savage is kind of playing his way out at Green Bay, even though I think he had a better last year. Savage had all the physical tools. He just didn't put it together. I think Kitchens also has all the physical tools, but I think he's probably a little bit more savvy. And I think that might make up for it and kind of get him to edge of round one, maybe middle of round two. But I think he's the best safety in this class easily.
100%. I know you want to talk about him, so here he is.
Disa Isaac, 6'4", 240, pretty good length, quickness for an edge rusher. Very late bloomer as well. We've talked about him before on this podcast. Go back and find our defensive end edge lineman podcast. We can talk more about him there. But I think he is a big riser, very raw. But again, the traits are there for these types of pass rushers. People love pass rushers. In a year where Penn State had chop as well, I think Disa really made a name for himself and provided a lot to that room and to that edge rushing group. So I think he's going to.
It's going to be hard for teams not to take a guy whose last name is Isaac.
That's true.
Sorry. That wasn't what you were expecting, was it?
And then if you just take his first letter of his first name, he's a guy who sacks a quarterback and has a stutter. Isaac. So that might do something as well. Isaac. I don't know. Isaac. What do you do? Isaac. So he definitely does sack the quarterbacks. He's very, very good. Performed very well at the Senior Bowl.
He's rough. That's the only problem. He's rough.
Yeah, he's rough. He's raw, but I think he's more likely to skyrocket than fall. And if he performs well at the combine, with usually Penn State guys do pretty well at that. So
can you imagine with Hutch? By the way,
yeah, it'd be good.
Yeah,
I think the Lions could just use a little more juice on their pass rush unit. Hutchinson's a tough cookie, really hard worker, and he is athletic, but he doesn't always get there the quickest. I think they could use.
I'm going to send you a video. He gets held a crap ton, and they don't.
Oh, I'm sure he does. Yeah. As do most guys get held, and they don't call it. Number 43, one of the greatest names in this draft, Ennis Rekestraw Jr., corner from Mizzou. A lot of Mizzou guys starting to make their name. To the combine list, to the NFL draft. Very exciting.
Mizzou looked good.
Yeah, they got some dudes. Can get a little too handsy, but he's also one of these corners that probably is more suited towards zone. But he's physical, he's violent, he's aggressive, he's long, he's lanky. I think the Lions would make a lot of sense. I think the Raiders would make a lot of sense as well. They could desperately use, I think with Antonio Pierce. I think he wants some guys that are tough, nasty, physical. I think this is one of those guys that could pair really well with him.
Our first running back of the day, Jonathan Brooks.
Took a while.
But if you're going to put one guy first, Jonathan Brooks is pretty scary.
Yeah,
especially
he'd probably be higher
behind Bijan and almost be a little better than Bijan. But
yeah, he had his moments when Bijan was there for sure. Yeah, if he didn't get hurt, he'd probably be a little bit higher, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But he has everything that you want in a running back. He is big, but he's also very fast. He has good shiftiness and juking ability as well. Good bend, can stop and start, pretty good hands. But again, the ACL thing is something to monitor, to watch out for. But maybe a team will take him at the round 3, or I don't know, and then just kind of stash him for a year. We'll see. I think it would make sense for a team that has a running back on one of their last years of their contract and is looking for replacement, maybe not this year, but next year. I think that would make sense for the Cardinals, like a James Conner, right? He might be on his way out soon.
Yep.
And then the Chiefs, like I think they could, even though I love Pacheco, you know, he has what 1 year left on his contract or something. So like maybe 2, I don't know, but either way, like he could probably get maybe more money elsewhere when he leaves. So I think having a replacement for him makes a lot of sense too. Yeah, he's our guy at number 44.
45. Shout out to my wife for the draft comp on this one. So the fact that I didn't know who Connor Barwin was, I was like, who? And she goes, oh, you need to pull up videotape on him. I was like, okay, all right, geez. But that was her favorite player when she was an Eagles fan, Kyle.
He's a good guy. I think that makes a lot of sense. Connor Barwin's kind of similar size. Peyton Wilson, surprisingly, played a lot of edge with NC State, even though he's listed as linebacker. He played off the edge quite a bit, but he's very, very aggressive. He plays with his hair on fire. A lot of injuries in his career, and he is going to be 24. So those two things are pretty concerning, but you like what kind of football player he is, and I think that's what
people like the stats too and say, oh, we need this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, he's going to provide a lot of juice no matter to what defense he goes to. It's just, are you willing to live with drafting a 24-year-old at probably middle of round 2, and also who has an injury history? But, the potential, if he was 22, didn't have injuries, I think he could easily be a first-round pick. I really do. So,
for sure.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with it. Number 46, we have another lineman. And 47, we have a lineman too. We have Jordan Morgan from Arizona at number 46. Really good.
For 47?
Yeah, I go to 47. We have Jordan Morgan from Arizona, Graham Barton at 47 from Duke. Morgan's more of a tackle, Barton's more of a guard. Both kind of around this mark. 48, we have Darius Robinson. Now, he's a pretty big riser. I don't think. Did either of us know about him before the Senior Bowl?
No.
I definitely didn't.
See? Are you doing this?
What?
How is this happening? There were just hearts on my screen. What is happening? I don't understand.
Is someone doing that from Facebook, maybe?
No. My computer's haunted. Anyways, Darius Robinson, huge riser from the Senior Bowl. We did kind of say he's kind of a D tackle edge, kind of a blend. He's just kind of a freak. We're looking to see if it'll do this again. My computer's haunted. Whatever. Darius Robinson, I like better than Ennis Rakestraw, because he's a monster. I think he's going to be a great day 2 pick, if not day 1, because of how fast he's rising. But 8.5 sacks, it's not bad. It's not bad, Mizzou. It's not bad at all.
Number 49, I have Mason Smith from LSU. He doesn't do everything. Okay. Well, he doesn't do everything extremely well, but from what I like of him, he is a freak athletically, but he just does not get moved. That's not sexy. All right. It's not sexy to be a guy with 1.5 sacks who doesn't really rush the passer, but to do his job, to do it effectively as a 3-4 defensive end, as a guy who can kind of play inside of the guard and center maybe, or inside of the tackle and guard. He's a guy that won't get moved off the spot. And I think that's very valuable to a lot of teams. Not sexy, whatever. Still very productive in terms of doing his job. I think teams need that. Teams need massive guys with some upside physically, and who can also do their job well. And I think that's Mason Smith. Maybe I have him higher than other people, but you know what? It's my list, so.
If I did my job well and I went to my job and posted 1.5 sacks, I think I'd be fired. Anyways, let's go to 50. Cooper Beebe. I like Cooper Beebe.
That's a weird name. Is it Cooper Beebe or Beebe? I don't know.
It's probably Beebe.
If it was Beebe, it should be 2 E's in the middle and 2 E's at the end. So what do you think?
Yeah, but it could be. Who knows? Anybody want to respond to that's here? If it is Cooper Beebe or Cooper Beebe, we'll settle that debate for us while we're talking.
If you switched the 2 E's and the 2 O's in his name would be Keeper
Baby.
Boob.
Oh, that's awful. Well, I thought you were talking about moving like one E and moving the other E over there.
Move the double E's, move the double O's. His name would be Keeper Booby. Keeper
Booby. I hate it.
There it is. Yeah, Keeper
That's all
Booby.
you need to know about him. Let's go to 51. Because this guy's more exciting anyways. I like Tyler Newman.
I do too. 52.
Cool. 52.
Junior Colson. I think he's a guy that the Eagles should get. He's your prototypical Big Ten linebacker. Very good tackler. He's not doesn't make many splash plays in coverage or sacks or whatever, but he does his job well. He stuffs the run, middle linebacker all day. 53, Xavier Worthy. Really great rack ability, returner ability. Screen game is awesome. Great burst quickness. I don't think he's natural route runner or hands catcher yet, but he has time to work on that. That's why I think he'd be good as a number 2B or number 3 receiver right now. But a team that needs some juice, that needs rack ability, he is your guy. 54, we have Braylon Trace from Washington. Another guy that's not sexy in my opinion. He's big, he's physical. He sets the edge.
Job.
What's that?
He does his job.
He does his job. Yeah, does his job. Pretty good with his hands. But he's not quick. He's not fast. He's not light. Not great bend. But he's relentless, and he's one of those guys that teams would love to have as their pass rusher number 2 or 3. I think. I think teams love having that can double dip with pass rushers, having their first wave, having their second wave. I think he's maybe more of a second wave guy. So that might knock him a little bit, but I think he does have enough to be a 2 defensive end. Next, we have Braden Fisk, not Wilson Fisk, Braden Fisk, a little bit older, but he performed very, very well at the Senior Bowl. Switched teams, actually, in the middle of it. Great motor. He transitioned well from Western Michigan to Florida State. He's provided juice and production at every level. He's one of the biggest risers of this class for sure. Number 56, we have Roman Wilson from
Speaking
Michigan.
Senior Bowl risers. Wow. He cooked everybody he went against in one-on-ones. Everybody. Yep. And I have to talk about Roman Wilson because during the game in the Rose Bowl, I said Roman Wilson is not that guy. And he proved me wrong again and again. When JJ had to put it to somebody and put it to Roman made that play. Tyler Lockett makes sense. Same kind of guy. You put it in his hands, he's going to make that play. KC makes a lot of sense for me because KC needs somebody that's reliable.
Yeah.
The Giants, maybe. They won't draft him, though, because they just seem to hate wide receivers. So
I feel like he's the anti-Kadarius Toney. Like, you have to draft him.
Yeah. But they won't.
He's everything Toney. Anyway.
Funny went to Florida. I could have told you that was going to happen.
This is a We Hate Kadarius Toney podcast. Let's make that clear. No, we don't hate him, but we don't think he's very good. Number 57, Jatavion Sanders. A lot of people love him. I need to watch more of him, and I've watched him, but a lot of people love him at the end of the first round. So I don't quite have him there yet. I need to do some more work on him, obviously, if that's what people are saying. But I think he's a more juiced up Jonnu Smith. Now, I have in my notes he's not a great athletic threat, but sometimes it looks like he is. I think he's very inconsistent at times. But I think once he gets downfield, gets moving a little bit, I think he's a rack machine. I think he's a very interesting chess piece you can move around. Number 58, Blake Corum. You know what? Here's what I'm just going to say. He's 24. Okay. He was on the national championship team. If you don't know who he is, you're looking for me to tell you who he is. you don't follow anything. You should know about Blake Corum already. All right, number 59, Kalen King, Penn State corner, had a really, really good sophomore year, like an elite sophomore year. Thought he was going to be a top 15 pick, and man, he kind of bombed it halfway through the season and also at the Senior Bowl a little bit. More of a zone corner. Man, it's disappointing to see. Obviously, he wasn't very active in making plays on the ball. But I think in the right scheme he could be okay. But he really did himself a disservice. I don't know if you call it disservice. I think he tried. Obviously, he just didn't do that well this year. But I think teams are going to hang on to that sophomore tape a little bit, and then again, zone more than man. That's probably where he will excel.
Most likely.
Brendan Rice at number 60.
He only makes this list because of who his daddy is. Moving on.
Jerry son. 61. Dwayne Carter. Jalen Carter's brother. Number 2. I'm just kidding. 61. Dwayne Carter. Great run defender. Not the best pass rusher right now, but I think you're looking for a run stuffing D tackle.
Don't let the stats scare you.
Yeah, not very frightening there, but might not be a third down kind of rusher. But the first 2 downs, you probably want him on your team. Number 62, one of the also best players at the Senior Bowl, Cedric Gray, very long, lanky linebacker, good in coverage, good speed. Not the most massive guy, maybe not the most strength in the run game, but I think from a Jordan Hicks kind of comp there. Is that who I have? Yeah, I have Jordan Hicks there. I think provides a lot of length and coverage ability at the next level, and then can improve in the run game. But I mean, for a lot of teams, man, I mean, you need these linebackers that can move and that can cover. That's a desperate need. So Cedric Gray can definitely fit that bill. Number 63, Trey Benson. Have you watched much of Trey Benson yet?
A little bit. I just I don't think he's better than some of the other guys in this draft class. I think his biggest benefit is his speed. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what will benefit him the most at the next level. And he's a strong runner, very strong runner. Dalvin Cook made sense when I watched some of his tape. Not because he went to Florida State, but just he moves pretty quick and he moves pretty powerfully. You're going to feel it if he hits you.
Yeah, big guy, 6'1", 220. I think out of all the running backs that I've watched so far, he most looks like an NFL running back to me. I'm not saying he's going to be the best one, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was. I just think he looks like a big, massive running back that can move, that's decisive, that shows good vision. He looks like he's ready to go. Adonai Mitchell at 64 doesn't always use his hands that well. He's more of a body catcher. That kind of scares me. However, even though he is skinny, he's tall and lanky. Man, he's physical. He gets after it. He's violent. Really good speed, too. He's fluid. He's long. And those long arms are very nice. Again, we talked about Brian Thomas Jr. being 6'4" and having that speed. Adonai Mitchell, kind of similar. 6'4", has that long speed that you want. But also, I think provides some rack ability as well. Maybe even more than Brian Thomas. I just don't think he's quite as fast or quite as proficient of a route runner as Brian Thomas is.
But he could absolutely be a CeeDee Lamb type. I loved that draft comp.
Yeah, he could be. I think it really depends. Like CeeDee Lamb, man, he's such a good route runner. And his hands are pretty incredible too. Like he is most definitely a number one. I don't know if Adonai is quite there yet, but it could be.
No, but like CD-esque. Yeah.
65, another riser. We have Jonah Ellis. Has a couple brothers in the NFL, Noah Ellis, Caden Ellis. If you know who those guys are.
Oh, okay. I didn't do the math on that. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they aren't that good yet, but
no.
So hopefully he might be the best one. This might be the best brother. He's only 20 years old, which is pretty incredible. So I think he's kind of the guy that teams are going to bank on in the second round somewhere as more of a project type. However, I mean, he had pretty good production at Utah.
12 sacks is pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Reminds me of an Alex Highsmith kind of guy. Serviceable run defender. Also a little bit of Connor Barwin in his game too, now that you mention it, from our Peyton Wilson comp. 20 slides ago. But Jonah Ellis, I think, will produce later on in his career. Again, he's very young, very inexperienced, but I kind of like his build. I think he could be a pretty good standing edge rusher at the next level.
For sure.
Have you done much work on Ricky Pearsall? Yeah.
I haven't. I'm going to have to let you talk about that one.
He is new to this list, kind of hearing from other scouts, finally getting to watch him. I kind of see what it's all about. He catches everything. He's a really good route runner. He gets vertical, but he's not the fastest. But his contested catch ability is route running in the middle of the field. Really reminds me a lot of Njigba. Njigba is not the fastest guy, but he's very smooth and really good hands. And the smoothness and the route running ability can kind of make up for not the most elite speed. Now, I don't think he's as good as JSN, nor will he go as high as JSN, but I think a guy that could maybe sneak his way at the bottom of the second round, early third round, I think, could provide a pretty good number 3 to a lot of teams.
I think I was drunk when I did this slide. Oh my gosh. Sorry, there's lots of errors on there. I'm going to fix that. We're going to move on. This guy you're a big fan of too.
Yeah, I love Mike Sainstrill. He actually played receiver the first couple of years at Michigan. It was pretty good too. So it's interesting kind of watching his growth and how quickly he became a pretty good nickel corner. So he has that ability to catch the ball, to locate the ball, to dive and contested catches as a corner. So he needs to develop, right? Like he's very new to the position, but I think he has the traits that you want.
Mike Hilton. I've stayed at one of his hotels once. Yeah, he's pretty.
All right, moving on. 68. Michael Hall Jr. Compared him to Osa Odigizua, a little shorter, a little smaller, little undersized. Thank you. But very quick off the ball. I thought he was going to be better than what he was in college. I remember when he had an electric game in his freshman to sophomore year.
I think we talked about that in our episode. D-line.
Yeah. Didn't really produce it as I wanted him to, but the traits are there. The flashes are there, just not quite consistent enough to have.
Brain is really good. He was on the radar prospects. Who was the other guy from Ohio State that we said was supposed to be really good last year, and then he just kind of fell off? 33, I want to say was his number.
Eichenberg?
No, it wasn't Tommy Eichenberg.
Tuamolo, Jack Sawyer.
No, he went last year, but I can't remember where he went.
Zach Harrison, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of the same problem here. Like great talent, just not fully developed.
Exactly. Yeah.
Speaking of talents.
Yes. Yeah, Gabe Hall is another riser. Very unique trajectory in his career. Kind of very productive early in his career that then dropped off a little bit. Kind of a rotational player. But he's very massive. He's very physical. He's quick. Lined up pretty much everywhere for Baylor. Good motor. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what he does in the interviews and the meetings to see why he dropped off, why he became rotational, because he was on NFL team's radar before that. But I think if he does well at the combine, he'll be one of those guys like, I think it was maybe Tristan Hill a number of years ago who got drafted by Dallas, and he had a really crazy good combine and just really
fell off the face of the earth.
What's that?
I said fell off the face of the earth or did really well?
Yeah, well, he did really well, and then, with the Cowboys, and he fell off the face of the earth.
Well, he's playing for Dallas, so.
Right. I don't know where he is now. Anyway, point is that I think if he tests well at the combine, I think teams will kind of look back at his career and try to figure out what happened with him. Another kind of weird tweener edge rusher, D tackle, Brandon Dorless, Matabuki type, played edge and D tackle, a lot of energy, great power, 9 pass breakups, so he gets his hands up. Again, tweener hybrid, but I think it's kind of difficult to see where he goes because teams will view him differently.
The Raiders will take him and think they got another really good edge rusher. So anyways,
probably
71.
TJ Tampa. He's actually not from Tampa, but I have him going to teams in Florida. Number 72.
If this guy is AJ Dillon, he will be the most disappointing prospect you've ever seen.
And I hope he's not.
Yeah.
I think he obviously has a lot of juice. He's a massive human being. I just think he kind of gets tackled too easily.
I almost would have put Derrick Henry here, but the tackling too easy thing kind of takes that off the table.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to tackle Derrick Henry. It's a little bit easier to tackle this guy, at least from what I've seen. So hopefully he gets that figured out, gets his balance a little bit better. But he is fast for how big he is too. The last three here, the final three, man, what a journey we've been on. Number 73. Oh, wait, no, we have 76. We have last four. Malachi Corley. Malachi Corley from Western Kentucky. Man,
he's not bad. He's not bad.
He's good. 74. Theo Johnson.
He's really good.
He's
What would I do?
I just thought for the next four slides you were gonna be like, yeah, he's good. Oh yeah, he's really good. Yeah, he's not bad.
No. No, Theo's actually good. He's just got some if you're looking at cars, this is a Camaro. It just needs a little bit of under the hood work. You know what I mean? Like he's almost on the next level. I watched Theo Johnson. I like Theo Johnson.
Yeah, I think he has all the physical traits that you want. Just not.
And he can be a better Darren Waller if he gets it together.
Very big guy too. 6'6", 254. You don't see that very often at tight end. Who can also move like he does. So excited for him and his career trajectory.
You get to pronounce this one.
Rook. Rook. Or Horo. I feel like I'm Tim the Tool Man Taylor. Rook. 6'4", 290, kind of like a David Onyemata type. Great blend of a lot of things, quite honestly. It's just he's very new to football. Traits are there. He's a project. I really liked what I saw. I think he could be a very freaky deaky kind of D-tackle hybrid defensive end at the next level. It's just kind of depending on his injury history and, again, his newness to football.
But Karlaftis was new too, and Karlaftis is tearing it up. So I don't think that's a big problem.
Yeah. Well,
we do have a bonus one.
Oh,
we still have a viewer, Kyle. After an hour and 30 minutes, we still have somebody that stuck with us through the entire thing. So, selfless viewer who has sacrificed much of your time to be with us, Patrick Paul is our bonus guy. 6'7", 315. Monster. This is like Joe Alt light. If you can't get Joe Alt, you're going to go for Patrick Paul in the second round.
Did you know Patrick Paul's brother is Chris Paul? I'm dead serious. Look it up.
Are they really? How is Chris Paul so small?
Oh no, not that Chris Paul. Different Chris Paul.
Oh, okay. All right. You suck.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for hanging with us. That was 70. We even gave you 76. We did better than 75. We gave you one more just to seal it all away for 76.
No more of that.
Thanks for hanging, guys. I'm going to wrap this up really quick. You will not see an episode from us next week. Kyle is coming out here. We are going down to the combine. We are going to give you a whole lot of information, on-site stuff, everything that we can to make you feel like you are at the combine with us. So have a good evening. We will see you next weekend. Bye, guys.
See ya.